Let's talk about strengths and weaknesses. Here's how to understand the difference between strengths and weaknesses. Your strengths and your weaknesses, they seem to sit in the same room or the same seat. Possess different traits. They often operate independently of each other. You probably already figured out where I'm headed with this discussion. Work on your weaknesses and lean into your strengths. Your strengths open doors for you. Let's just let that sink. I'll say it again. Your strengths open doors for you. Doors of opportunity, new networks, new connections, progress, so much goodness. While your weaknesses, they give you new challenges to overcome and allow you to evolve into the better version of you. Your strengths show you the way forward. Your weaknesses are the areas you haven't yet fully worked on. These areas of need should stir you up and not make you sit still, but keep working on you. That's the key word right there. Keep working on you. Perfection is an outcome that's produced from discovering what doesn't work and focusing on what works. Perfection is produced out of repetition or comes as a result of repetition of the right kind of action or the right kind of attitude. Your weaknesses, they're not your failures. Although the two might look the same, they're not the same thing. But weaknesses can cause failures. When you're working on getting to your strengths or getting an outcome, you're going to produce some form of buffer. This is where failure tends to lean towards. There's nothing wrong, therefore, with failing, but quitting when you fail or not discovering what it could have looked like if you pursued some more. That said, it would adversely affect you if you judge yourself by your weaknesses and your failures and allow that to sink the ship of your drive, the ship of your inspiration, the ship of your motivation, and you ignored the good that you already attained. That's wasted energy. Sure, you do have bad days. I do too, now and then. But don't let your bad days multiply. You're just gonna pile unnecessary loads of burden on you. Instead, this is how you address that. Don't let bad days dictate the days of your influence and the days full of productivity and positivity. If you're one that tends to lean into the negative easily, it's because you're focusing on the wrong thing. You are probably looking at the wrong thing, expecting a solution to come out of it. But your solution might not be in that area. Your solution most likely exists in another area you haven't yet looked into, you haven't yet tapped into. Opportunity is only an occasion waiting to meet you. Opportunity is waiting to meet your inspiration and motivation. Failure itself is a result that came from you trying. Failure reveals what didn't work after you tried it, and it helps you discover the alternate options towards what can work. But weaknesses, that's only a defined condition if you let it sit unattended. That's really neglect, not disorder. That's really neglect, not dysfunction. If you're calling your current state of mind as a dysfunction, you're probably avoiding the real reason why it's a dysfunction. You've neglected pursuing the better outcome. You've entertained the thing that's keeping you trapped. See, the problem with this kind of mindset is when it's looked as a disorder or dysfunction, most often people treat it with a pill, but they should really treat it with wisdom and understanding and application of understanding. When something breaks, the way you respond to that broken thing depends on how you value that broken thing. You'll either replace it with a new one, or you'll attempt to fix it, or you'll throw it out and care nothing of it, meaning it served its purpose, it's not needed, it's broken. Stop trying to fix dysfunction if what you need to do is throw it out. Dysfunction is just another way of saying wrong actions that are getting you the wrong results. I'll let that sink in. I did say your weaknesses are not your failures. They are only areas of your life that you haven't yet taken time to enhance or equip. You haven't equipped them properly so as to convert them into operational assets rather than life-draining liabilities. If you work on your weak areas long enough and with persistence, you can transform them into formidable strengths. You can transform them into a place of enjoyment. If you look at yourself like a self-run company, weaknesses only get a promotion when discipline becomes their coach. Promotion only comes to the diligent. And your strengths, they are not your crippling zone. No, they are your confident zone. Confidence thrives on its own, and the one who possesses it does wondrous things. The one who possesses it turns their day into many colors, and the one who possesses it will most likely master the art of the pursuit, draw themselves closer to their outcome in a shorter time frame than those who delayed it. Confidence is one of the best gifts you can have. It's one of the best traits you can possess. But confidence comes out of your identity, how you see yourself, who you are as a person today, what you represent, what you believe, what you stand for. So if you lack confidence, it's because you haven't yet found the true person, the true you. You might ask me, how then do I discover the true me? If the outcome is 10 steps, you take the first step, then the second, then the third, then the fourth. Finally, you get to the 10th step. So where you are, your current state, you need to take the first step. If you're going to discover your identity, you have to be willing to give. This is not common wisdom. What? Yes, give. Give your time. Give of yourself. Give love. Be charitable. Go out. Help someone smile today. Help someone feel better about their day today. Invest in someone else's life. Is it making sense to you yet? Maybe not. But trust me, when you do this, what's going to happen is you're going to discover your identity, who you really are. Often, the best of us comes out of the fact that we continuously give. Water is pure because it keeps flowing. Stale water sits still. So if you're not giving of yourself, you're not discovering what can be. Now, let's go back to your strengths. I did say earlier, your strengths are not your crippling zone. They are your confidence zone. But your weaknesses, they would rather you settle in your comfort zone. Heard that word before? Let me say it this way. If you see zero progress in areas of your life right now, it means you haven't yet invested time or effort and focus on those areas. You're procrastinating and therefore delaying your most needed outcome. You might say to me right now, all right, Pastor Norman, I'm getting it. Yes, I say your strengths often thrive with simplicity. What is simplicity in this regard? Well, you got to get yourself taking that first step. Simplicity is sitting down, taking a pen and writing down what it is that matters to you, what it is that you want to achieve, and what it is that you want to give. If your sole purpose is to look for someone to invest in and to make someone else's life better, you're going to be more happy. Procrastinating, that's no good for you. It's on the same line of thinking that your weaknesses will make you want to avoid confronting them. But rather, your weaknesses, they tend to take your issues and they push them to the back burner. They say it's for another time. They keep saying every day, it's for another time. Do you kind of have that happening in your life right now? Oh, I'll deal with that later. Not confronting the issue means more delay, more frustration, and more dilemmas to deal with. And you're probably already sick of that. Life becomes a burdensome drag if you never evolve from what is holding you back, from being stuck in the rut. While your strengths, on the other hand, they do the complete opposite. See, you probably heard this one already, but you're majoring on the minors when you're supposed to major on the majors. Something's distracting you. And it's taking up all your valuable time on what really matters. See, your strengths, they invite you to enhance yourself. What are your strengths? Well, you might ask me, Pastor Norman, it's great. You talked about strengths, but what are my strengths? You're probably good at smiling. Let's start with that. Making a cup of tea or coffee. Let's put that as the second. Singing, writing. But make sure as you're doing those things, make sure they lead to productivity. Make sure they lead you towards the outcome you really want. If something you're doing is delaying your most needed action, do it some, but then do the thing that brings the most needed outcome. Your strengths want you to thrive and cause you to become the master at what you are good at, to become the grandmaster at what you're good at, the pro at what you believe you're good at. Now, you might not be the top 5, but at least you can attempt to be top 20. And if you're not top 20, you're probably a top 100. I find this to be true, that those who were in the top 1,000 and pushed enough to get to the top 100, and they go, wow, I'm in the top 100, they'll often be the kind of people that will push to be in the top 10 and stop worrying about things they once worried about when they were in the top 1,000. Instead, they had a complete reformation within themselves, a revival of a sort. And their mind and their thinking became geared in a different way, all because they were doing things differently. and they begin to perceive their day differently. It's the right thing to say. If you focus on your strengths, you will experience massive progress. Your strengths, their attempt is to push you to go beyond your limits and encourage you to learn through the process, while your weaknesses are not willing to take risks. If you find yourself not taking risks in the area that needs most needed help, that's probably a weakness. Identify it. Speak to it even and say, I'm not going to give in to you today. I need this change. I'm going to change. Speak to yourself. Speak to your inner man and tell yourself. I say it this way because you might have a confident person speaking to you right now, not necessarily me, but you might be listening to someone who is confident and they're speaking into your life and they're trying to take what is in them and impart it to you so you can be confident as well. And if you stumbled upon this video, my prayer is that my voice is doing that to you. But if you don't have a voice that can speak confidence in your life, you have to muster the courage to bring out that voice of strength, that warrior in you, to speak to your weaknesses, speak to the areas of your life that are holding you back. Speak to them and say to those mountains, it's time for you to move and take action. You might not be fully 100% equipped, and that might be the cause of your delay. You're probably looking at it in a very big way. Yes, you have to think big, but at the same time, while you think big, start small. Start right now. Start where you are. What is in your hands that you can do today? Some people don't have legs to walk or don't have hands to write. Be grateful for what you have, for who you are. Utilize what you have and pursue. It will draw what you don't have. The greatest investment you can ever make is in yourself. But those weaknesses, they will always reason with you on why it's a failed mission already. Even before you launched, they'll tell you, don't even try, you're going to fail anyway. And if that's been somewhat a thought that's caused some of your delays, speak to that too. See, excuses are the core values of your weaknesses. Meaning, if ever you have a conversation with yourself, you'll find that the areas where you're not seeing much progress, they're most likely areas that you've made excuses for. Weakness does not like to be evaluated. Weakness does not evaluate in hindsight for change at all. Weakness instead hires fear as its consultant to keep you trapped. Fear is the jailer, it's the oppressor and the deceiver that keeps you trapped in a lie. Fear doesn't want you to evolve, but faith will ruffle your feathers. Faith will unsettle your current conditions, using discomfort to cause change for better conditions. Discomfort can be seen in two ways. Consistent trouble or discomfort that prevails might mean that a weakness has not yet been dealt with, or something that you're supposed to do has been left unattended, it's neglected, and the problem is still present. And it's eating up all the good and valuable energy and time and resource, and all the desire to be inspired. And the other way we can perceive discomfort is a transition. Oh, that's the front foot attitude. That's when you decided you've had enough of discomfort. And when you push out, when you push forward initially, this time your discomfort becomes not necessarily the thing that holds you down, but the thing that motivates you to get up and take action. Faith makes you act. But weaknesses? No sir, no ma'am. This frail part of you refuses to tamper with change and avoid analyzing and evaluating your current state. That's when you believe the lie, which is a really, really bad thing to do, when you believe the lie. And then you talk yourself out of even trying at all. See, when you believe the lie, you're also at the same time creating that comfort zone. And it can be the very thing that's influencing your identity. But the true you actually believes in you. The true you knows there's more in you. The true you understands progress and wants progress and thrives with progress. Your strengths, they work with the true you. Therefore, you are wise if you work with your strengths. You'll get to your desired outcome faster. And if you just focused on improving your weaknesses, not from a defensive mode, but from an attack mode, you're going to achieve your goals in leaps and bounds. So I encourage you to address your weaknesses from your strength. Don't drown with your weakness. No, be the one who's postured for change. Take the illustration of someone standing on a rock trying to rescue another person drowning in the quicksand. You don't jump into the quicksand with them. No, you pull them out of it. Here's another point to note. Sometimes observing the issue from another angle allows you to see your blind spots. This is important. Your weaknesses like to play the distraction game, as you know already. It's the easiest way to control you and leave you in the dark room of your own delusions. So, what's the resolve? Weaknesses' attempt here is to take the awareness of progress away from you, draw awareness away from you, and only keep you loafing around in the pity party, focusing completely on the wrong things. Delay thrives in the pity party, and when you waste your time, you'll become more depressed and more burnt out. If right now you had been depressed and you had been burnt out, I just gave you your answer. You took your eyes off what was really your progress, your awareness for what could drive you, and you focused on the thing that drained you. Progress never sits with pity, and diligence only works with the prudent.